sister. Hi, everybody.
Oh my gosh. It's
I'm
so
so
good to see
excited,
your
Tiff. This is
face.
awesome. This is awesome.
Look.
I am excited.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, I feel like when I think about our days in Longview and Bethel
Yeah.
Temple of Longview, and, we've come a really long way.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned before we got on, I am just so impressed. And, I don't know. It's amazing to see where you are and what God is doing. And so I can't wait to get into this conversation so that we can get even more into purpose that you can share with us. But before we go there,
Yes.
I want to start with a question that I'm going to start every conversation with. Part of the work that I do and I want to do is to encourage people to stop relegating God to church. It
Mm,
is to make people understand that God can't be put in a box. God is a part of our everyday lives.
mhm,
God often tries to speak with us.
mm,
God presents himself in different situations. But most of the time, because we've relegated God to a certain setting and a
mm.
certain place, we miss it and we miss God. We miss the hands of God,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, what I want us to do is really start seeing God everywhere
Yeah.
because God is everywhere.
It
God
is.
is not this mystical kind of creature that's up in the sky. God is everywhere. And so, where I want to start the conversation is where have you seen God recently?
I saw God last night. I my we were out of town in Baton Rouge,
Hmm.
Louisiana, and my granddaughter was with us, and she had to share the bed with us. So that's something that I'm not used to.
Uh,
But when we got home to the bed that she'd been sleeping in, she reached out. She
mm,
said, at the age of 1, she's not even 2 yet.
yeah.
She said, "I'm so happy." And at
Yes.
that moment, God said, "Happiness is where you choose to be.
Yes.
Time that you choose that you want it." So I was like,
Mm,
"Girl, I just told her, you just ministered to me so."
I know,
She
right?
literally just straight. Now she was kicking us at night. It wasn't us kicking hers, but she was
Yeah.
happy to have her own space. So she took that away.
Yes.
That's her place of happiness. So it's where you choose to be.
Happiness is where you choose to be, period.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
I
I
saw
love
God.
it.
I saw
'Cause
God. Yeah.
oh my gosh, because yeah, most of the time when you think about happiness, it is as a result of something.
Exactly.
Well, if I get this, then I'll be happy.
Exactly.
If I get this job, if I get this money, if I get this whatever. But happiness is where you
Where
choose.
you choose.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So to get more into your work,
Okay.
as I mentioned, you are the purpose midwife. What is a purpose midwife?
Okay, purpose midwife. First, let me identify purpose because I know we're
Yeah.
going to talk about that later.
Uh-huh.
But Merriam-Webster, of course, we have to do that.
Mhm.
It defines it the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. Okay.
Mm. Mhm.
And then the midwife is that person that goes in with a woman who's about to give birth and it helps assist the woman give birth. But
Yeah.
another definition is also it's one that helps you produce or bring forth
Yes.
something. And so a purpose midwife for me is someone, because most of us as individuals, we may know a bit about who we are, what we're supposed to do, but at times it takes someone to come in to help you push out what
Mhm.
is literally in you. If all of us have potential, all of us have seeds. I don't care what we are called to do.
Mhm.
All of us have something that we are placed on this earth to do, and I help you push it out. And we'll talk more about that
Yeah.
once we get into it. But it a purpose is just the reason for why. It's your why. Why are you here?
Mhm.
Why are you here?
And so what is your journey? Because me
Mhm.
and those of us from Longview have known you before you were Tammy Stewart, the purpose
Yeah,
midwife,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so what led you to your purpose?
Okay. It has been a journey, Tiff. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm real country. I'm still Long
Of
Beach. So let's
course.
just talk. All right.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, I didn't know who I was for years.
Mhm.
Even growing up, you probably didn't realize it, but I could always help everyone else, and I think many of us are guilty of that. Are
Yep.
able to, I could tell you, look at you, and tell you this is who you are, blah 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 blah. This is, let me help you do this, let me help you do that. But I had no idea of who I was, what I wanted
Mhm.
to do. And the problem was, even though other people could see it,
Yeah.
they could see it clearly. It was until any individual, let me just stop and say this, until you could literally see who you are yourself, there's nothing anyone else could say to you that will make you believe it
That's
until you
right.
see it. Okay.
Mhm.
So I had a problem seeing it because I've seen so much negativity in life. Da, 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 da. So finally, I began to pour myself into everyone else. Like, I'd been wanting to get a degree for years, and I was going to school off and on and off, and just could
Mhm.
not get it done. And all that time it was in business. And the only reason I wanted to get the degree in business is because I was working in it. I had no passion for it, but I've been working
Yeah.
in it for years, so why not? And life happened.
Mhm.
Life
Mhm.
life whooped me.
Yeah.
Can I say it like that?
Yeah.
Life drugged me in a way that I'd been giving myself to so many people, but then I felt like it dropped me,
Mm.
literally. And I felt like death would be better than life.
Mhm.
And so I laid down one night after having a discussion.
Mhm.
I said, God, I need you to show me. And literally, I went to sleep and I woke up. I went to sleep and I woke up. And when I woke up, I began to start doing things. Immediately, God just give me, He
Yes.
started began to give me ideas. I want you to do this. And it's one thing for God to give us ideas. And I may be going off topic, but that's okay. We'll
No,
get
come
back
on.
to it.
Mhm.
There's one thing for God to give us ideas, but then there's another thing to begin to flow out what He has told you to do.
Exactly.
Literally, I had been beat down. So I said, God, whatever you want. I was so, whatever you want me to do. I
Yeah.
just need for no one else to feel like I am feeling right now. I
Mhm.
need no one else to ever feel this way.
Mhm.
So God began to show me, I began to send postcards to, like, I didn't even know the first ladies. I was just sending to Africa, to Australia. I chose a bunch of online, and I just
Yeah.
began to send postcards of encouragement. Once I did that, someone said, I started motivated to motivate. And they said, what do you have to offer? You don't even have a degree. You don't have this.
Ah,
You don't have that.
someone said
Ate
that.
my soul alive. They did. And so I went back and I got my degree in psychology. I
Mhm.
finished. Now I was 47, 40. I'm 49 now. Yeah, I think it was 47 years old
Uh-huh.
when I graduated with my degree in psychology, and I will be going back for my master's, to get my master's in counseling, because I know ultimately that is my purpose. So the
Yep.
thing that caused me to push was pressure.
Ah. Ah.
Pressure pushed me.
Yes.
And some of
Mm.
us, pressure will push you, Tiff.
So what distinguishes between people who allow pressure to push them and people who kind of retreat because of the pressure? Like, what's the difference? Do
And there
you
is
think?
the mindset. The mindset. Um, I know for me, and I can only speak for me personally.
Yes.
And I guess I got this. I received the stubbornness from my mom,
Yeah.
that your words cause me to show you different.
Mm.
What you say, you can say it, but you will watch my success. I
Yeah.
used to tell my son all the time, who's in the Air Force. I told him, no matter what is said, let people watch your actions.
Mhm.
And so the difference is the mindset. Either
Mhm.
you can allow what was said or done to defeat you and just say, I'm done because of what was done, what was said, or
Right.
you can use that as your ammunition or your fuel to continue growing. So it's
Mhm.
all in your mindset. What is that you want to do what happened with what happened?
Right.
What do you want to do with what happened?
What do you want to do with what happened? Mm, that's really good. Um, When you think about purpose, you defined it as, what you were created to be.
Mm-hmm.
You defined it as something that's produced, like what you're intended to produce.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of questions.
Okay.
What do people get wrong about purpose?
I think people get things wrong about purpose is that it's just automatically laid in your lap.
Right.
Purpose takes work.
Mhm.
It takes your effort.
Mhm.
Another thing that is wrong, what goes wrong about purpose is the and I was thinking about this earlier. Sometimes we think what we are capable of doing is the thing that we should be doing.
Mhm.
Just because you're capable doesn't mean that's just what you're called to.
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes we find ourselves overly exhorted because we have stepped into areas that we were not supposed to, because you are
Yeah.
able to do it. And because you're able to do it, people are saying, well, why don't you do this over here? Why don't you do this over there? And you
Uh-huh.
find yourself exhausted because you're doing stuff that you're capable of, but you're
Mhm.
called to. And when I say call, that is purpose that is calling you. Yes, you can build and learn things from certain things that you do,
Uh-huh.
but you cannot just allow yourself to remain stagnant to that one thing and you lose yourself in it.
Yeah. On the other hand, I think that's good. I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of people do get that wrong, that
Mm-hmm.
because you can do something
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean that's what you are supposed to be doing.
Right,
One
right.
question that I have is, do you think that everyone has only one purpose?
Oh no. I think it's there are layers and tiers to it, right?
Uh-huh.
So okay, I for instance, I have to use myself because I
Yeah.
okay. I know that I am called to minister to people, to speak life, to help them give birth to their purpose.
Right.
But within that, it comes with I like to dress. I'm
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
switching it up, so
Yeah.
I'm able to help you not just help you with your purpose, but then I help build your self esteem, which comes in different waves of what
Mhm.
happens. So there's like different layers to who you are when
Mhm.
it comes to your purpose.
Mhm. And even I would ask you about this, different
Uh,
seasons, because
mm,
I think often, I know when I used to think about purpose, it was very linear. It was very black and white,
right.
right? Like, this is my purpose in life. This is what I need to do. So for the next 40 years, this is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
But what I'm finding, the
Mhm.
older I get, is you can have a purpose for a season. Would you say that?
You could.
That in a particular season, you should be doing something else. You should be doing something. But when that season is over, you may manifest your gift in a different way. If God is calling you to do something else for this in the season that you're in, is that correct? Or like, how do you feel about that?
I think again that, like you just said, over time it progresses.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It progresses. And I cannot really identify how this happens.
Yeah.
For instance, you spoke about me. I've always been
Mm-hmm.
an encourager. Always. I love seeing people win,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So I went from one point of just being your girlfriend on the side, talking to you. Hey, I made this mistake, Tiff. You're my little sister. I can't
Yeah.
let you do that. That
Yeah.
was me. Am I right?
Yep.
So as time went on, I began to change those. My thought pattern went from just relationship type of things to
Yeah.
I as time introduced to different people.
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was your mental state, maybe it was your financial state, maybe it was
Yeah.
your marriage, because there were different things that we're introduced to. Life happens, and there's different things that I became involved in that just
Right.
shifted my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So purpose is it progresses. It progresses.
I can understand that. When I used to wonder what my purpose was.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I think it's because, when you talk about gifts and you talk about talents,
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are more visible get more play, right? Get
For
like
sure.
you're encouraged a little bit more. Like if you can sing, if you can dance, if you have this talent, then you kind of know what direction. You may have an idea of what direction you need to go in.
Right.
But I've always been like you, an encourager.
Right.
I've
Right.
always been a supporter.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, if I'm just quote unquote an encourager, what am I supposed to do with that?
Mm.
Right? What does
Right.
that mean? Like, what direction am I supposed to go in?
Right.
But when I thought about it, I started off with working with youth. I still love to work with youth.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a teacher, I've been a counselor. And everything that I've done has been in a supportive role. It's
Mm-hmm.
all been to like as an encourager. Um, but I didn't see, well, maybe, I should use my encouraging to actually speak life to lots of people in the way that I'm doing it now,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't see how it all fit together. And so I think that a lot of people, and because I'm shy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't do this. I don't do a lot of public speaking.
Right.
And so I think on one side, when you think about purpose, you think about, you know, just because you can do something doesn't mean that's what you should be doing. On the other hand, I feel like just because you can't do something yet doesn't mean that it's not for you to learn how to do in order to fulfill your purpose.
Exactly. Exactly. I think we have to leave ourselves excuseless when it
Right.
comes to getting there, because no, you may not be able. I am not the best, but I am honing in on my skill and I'm learning.
Right.
And one of the areas I invest in what I need in order to become,
Hmm.
So it's not something, again, I said earlier that purpose requires effort.
Right.
So when you say that, you always try to take what you have learned, because I've always, there's always a trail. Okay, I always, although I'm working in the office, eight for business with the business, at work for someone else. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I am learning things as I go. So as I'm waiting to get further into my purpose, to
Right.
literally just say, this is all I do 24/7. I
Hmm.
have to appreciate what I am learning now. What am I gaining from my 7 to 4 every
Right.
day? And I take that with me, and I try to take situations or scenarios. This is what happened today into where I am.
Right.
And what have I learned? What lesson is here? So
Right.
everything that we go through, everything that we do, there are lessons.
There are
And
lessons.
so I'm trying to figure out, hey, what are the lessons? And
Hmm.
when we understand that, then that causes us to continue to grow, so that when we walk in our purpose, baby, we walk in strong and hard, because I am confident in it.
Right.
And again, I think, and I'm maybe going too long,
No,
that's where
go ahead.
we it's difficult for us to walk in our purpose because of fear, and then the lack of confidence. But as we're learning, as we're studying, as we're
Hmm.
researching, as we're investing, then at some point we become more confident. I've been saying a lot, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
It doesn't make perfect.
Right.
Practice makes things in order. Practice puts things in
Mm.
place where it
Hmm.
becomes, I forget how Steve Harvey says it, but there's a way he puts it, but it helps us to become. Practice helps us to be prepared.
Right.
Hello.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you find your purpose? You've said a couple of times that it takes work. How do
Right.
you find it though?
Usually purpose is found in um what other people see in you. Like for
Mm,
years, you all, till if Tammy, you're such a encourager. I
yeah.
was looking at, I think you posted some the other day, and Sonia, I think Sonia, I
Uh-huh.
forget her
Yep.
name. I was
Sonia.
a setter. I was a setter for her. Now I
Yeah.
was the shortest person on the volleyball team, but I could set a ball. I was confident in that, and I knew how to tell Sonia, "Hey, you get your steps, get your form."
Yeah.
So from that, I mean, I've been coaching all my life.
Right.
I was
Right.
not practical on it, but I've been doing this all my life.
Right.
And it took time to, and I just went blank because I got excited talking about Sonya. But it took time for me to get there to understand that, Tammy, people have been saying this to about you for some time. When what people say,
Mhm.
the positive things that they see.
Mhm.
Tammy, you're this. Tiffany, you're this, you're that.
Mhm.
That's one thing. And then another way you can find your purpose is to understand that one thing that will not let you go.
Mm.
That one thing that, Tiffany, you said for years, I know I've been needing to do something. I've been
Mhm.
that one thing that says, okay, you're resting, but I'm back.
Yeah.
You went to sleep, but I'm in your dreams.
Yeah. It's just
And that thing,
nagging at you.
it nags at you and
Yeah.
does not release you from it. And at
Mhm.
that moment, you stop and you begin to say, okay, what is that? And
Yeah.
you jot it down. I'm just giving little tact, just little
Mhm.
tricks. Write it down. Whatever. It doesn't have to make sense, because a lot of times we don't want to go forward because we think it has to make sense and it have to be perfect. But if you just write it down, journal, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm hearing, this is
Right.
what I feel like I want to do, and then continue, and then begin to study and research, and go,
Mhm.
try to find someone. I call them SME, subject matter experts, or
Mhm.
hire a coach.
Yeah.
Hire someone that'll help you to get where you want to be. But you find purpose. It takes effort, and sometimes I've had to invest in being who I am today. It
Yeah.
takes effort and
It
it
does.
takes investment.
Mhm. So with purpose does not come knowledge automatically.
Exactly.
Because you know your purpose, as I mentioned, it doesn't mean that you're going to know exactly what to do.
Exactly.
You have to go out and do the work to prepare yourself for what God has for you to do.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Mhm.
he put it in us in the beginning of time. He always knew it was in us. But some of us wait, and I'm going ahead of myself. Some of us wait for God, but God says, I'm waiting on you. I've
Yeah.
already put it in you. I've already given you the tools that you need. I've
Yeah.
already put the people in place. But now we have to become active in
Mhm.
what he has given us. So a lot of people say, but God already gave you. Well, we know, yes, he gave us our purpose. He also gave us our prayer life. But then that doesn't mean we always pray. So even when he gives
Right.
us our purpose,
Uh-huh.
that doesn't mean that we always fully understand it. So yes, we seek God for knowledge. We pray, God, please give me wisdom on what to do. God, give
Mhm.
me wisdom on how to do it. But when we're
Mhm.
asking him for it in prayer, whenever we go to God for in prayer, we cannot just say, okay, I went and prayed. Whenever we speak to God, he always gives us an action plan. And we are
Ah.
found accountable whether we follow the action plan that he has given us.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
Because as church girls, right? We grew up
Yeah.
in church.
Yeah.
As church girls, we sometimes develop these spiritual understandings,
Right.
and I wonder how much they impede our progress, right? For one, and you just mentioned it, often we talk about you got to wait on God, we're waiting on God, waiting on God. Or if, you're thinking about doing something, sometimes we use prayer, I think, as procrastination,
Mm.
right? And it's a trip because I remember being at a PAW convention and someone came up to me and was like, so, sis, when are you going to start your ministry? When are you going to start doing what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing? Now, by this time, I already knew that I
Mhm.
should have been doing more.
Okay.
Like, I already knew that God called me to encourage people on a bigger scale.
Hmm.
But I said, sis, I'm still praying about it. I still got to pray about it. And she looked me dead in my eye and was like, you need to stop praying and you need to get up and you need to do what God told you to do. You already know what to do. Right.
Right.
And I was just like, thanks for the read. Okay, I
In
got you.
Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. But I do wonder how much church plays a role in, and not church, because I love church, but some of the teachings in keeping people stagnant. While we talk about God doing exceedingly abundantly above all we ask and think, sometimes our actions don't reflect that, right?
Mm.
Instead, we again say stuff like, well, I'm waiting on the Lord. But how often or how much do we use stuff like that as a form of procrastination?
Often I've seen, and I think we over spiritualize things, if I could say it
Mm.
like that. Um,
Mhm.
when first natural, right? And so faith
Mhm.
without works is dead. We can have all the faith, but until we put feet to the faith,
Right.
then we are guilty of. So the in the Bible it talks about the God given talent. Well, it talks about the talents. So
Uh-huh.
he gave one five, another one, and the two that doubled it, they doubled the talents, but it was one that took the talent and he hid it in the ground and was
Mhm.
like, I was waiting for you to come back, and I was afraid to invest it because in it, so I waited. So here you go.
Right.
And with that, God says, no. He said, I'm going to cast you to the utter darkness.
Mm.
So he is so serious about us moving in what he's all again, he's already equipped us, but he is
Right.
so serious about us moving in what he's equipped us with that I believe that we will be held accountable
Mhm.
for not being progressive in what he's given us.
Mm. That's good. That's good. I came across a scripture
Okay.
the other day,
Uh-huh.
right? Because I
Hmm.
was like, I was really curious to know how often in the word God
Hmm.
has told people to get up and stop praying. Like,
Hmm.
stop praying. I already told you what to do. Right. And I came across Moses actually when he was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt.
Right.
And uh, I think I put it down what Exodus 14,
Yeah.
15.
Hmm.
Moses was talking to the people and, told them, fear not, stand firm. We're going to see the salvation of the Lord. He's going to work it out today. The Lord will fight for you. Moses was praying to God. And at one point, God said, why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forth, lift up your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground. In other words, he said, stop talking to me. I've
Yeah.
already given you everything
Yeah.
that you need. Why
Everything
are
we
you
need.
still talking to me? Why are you still praying to me? Why are you
Everything.
still down? I use the staff that I gave you.
Yeah.
Use what I gave you
Yeah.
to do what I told you to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe that's what he's telling a lot of us. Tiff, can I say this, like during a pandemic, I'm not for sure what made you finally say, I am going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But he is speaking a lot of it. Now he's spoken with the quiet time, but now
Right.
he's it's like a push and an urgency to get it done. It's like
Mm-hmm.
an urgency to get it done. That scripture when he told Moses, yeah, dude, I, you already have it. So again, he leaves us excuseless. He leaves us without the ability to say that I can't.
Right.
What you need is right in your hand. And it's up
Mm-hmm.
to you because at that point, he had to decide either you're going to use what you have or you're going to watch a nation die in your
Right.
hand.
Right.
How many of us are watching things die
Mm.
because we refuse to use what he gave us?
Yes. Somebody is waiting on you.
Someone is waiting on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving you an example. My sister and I told y'all I love clothes, and I would back in the day I would go to the thrift store and just make. It was my canvas. It was my time
Yeah.
of this, and My sister and I almost had a dream at the same time to start an online thing and just show different ways to wear thrift store outfits.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do it. That was
Mm.
years ago. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching these young ladies, one young lady, like millions of followers with the
Yeah.
same idea. If
Yep.
we are not guilty of doing what he has told us to do, he will
Yeah.
so willingly give what he told us to do to someone else and allow
Tammy,
them to do.
you know what? I listened to Patrice Washington. She's
Hmm.
a podcaster,
Okay.
and she has a show called Redefining Wealth, right?
Okay.
And she talks
Uh-huh.
about wealth being purpose and being wealth being basically pursuing your purpose.
Right.
And one episode she talked about obedience.
Mm.
And I want to say, a couple of years ago, her intention for the year was to be more obedient, to the
Right.
point that she asked herself, how different would my life be if I obeyed God the first time?
Mm.
If God told me to do something, I heard God say it, and I got up and obeyed him
Wow. That's
without
powerful.
these excuses, without these limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
without the idea that, well, I don't feel ready for that. Like I hear God saying this, but it can't be now because I'm not ready.
Right. Wow.
Right? She said, how much different would our life be if we obeyed God the first time?
Girl.
The first time.
Oh my gosh, that's how many times, and I'm not, and even when it comes, some things that I allow myself to go through because I just didn't obey. I
Right.
heard him.
Heard
And
it.
it's like I'm one of those children that, I don't get a second chance. He gets me the first time. Some people he's able to give, he give him chance after chance, but
Right.
he still loves me. But I'm just one of those kids that get caught every time, just the
Yeah.
hand in the cookie jar. But
Uh-huh.
man, that is powerful. What if? And if, we can look back and say what if, but it my life would be totally different. I know that.
Mhm. Mhm. It's a trip. It's like, because we can't see something, we don't pursue what God has told us to do. As
Right,
though we have all knowledge. As
right,
though we can see the end from the beginning,
right,
right? Sometimes what
right.
God is calling us to do is just to take the next right step
The next, I
without
love it.
having to see the entire picture.
Exactly. Exactly. The next right step.
The next right
Wow.
step. What is
Exactly.
God telling you to do right now? And no, it may not
Exactly.
make any sense, right?
Right.
We may
Right.
not
Right.
see it,
Right.
but obey. That is
Right.
all God is asking us to do, is to listen to me and obey.
Exactly. Exactly. Because he has the path that is set out so beautifully. And
Mhm.
it's just, I think we get frustrated, we get fearful because many of us want to have the hands-on type of in whatever he's having us to do. We want to make sure, okay, now you told me to go left. Now why? Now you want me to do this now, but because of what? And so we
Uh-huh.
get frustrated and we feel like I I need to know more. And because I need to know more, then we, like you just said, we are not the all wise God. He knows
Right.
everything. He will never fail us. He would never lead us wrong, down the wrong path. But
Mhm.
it's our, and we talk about wait again, which sounds like we're kind of contradicting ourselves. But in the waiting and telling him, okay, now I'm moving, but I'm gonna wait for you to tell me if I want to go left.
Right.
Waiting doesn't mean to be still. Waiting means to,
Uh,
and while I'm waiting, studying. While I'm
right.
waiting, I'm waiting.
Right.
So I was
Waiting in
looking for you.
preparation.
And
You're
waiting in
you're
preparation.
you're preparing while
You
waiting.
preparing while wait. The women,
Yeah.
that were the 10 virgins. And I was talking about this in a class the other day. The 10 virgins, five, they were waiting on the groom, right? And so
Uh-huh.
five of them, 10 of them, all of them had lamps. Five of them had lamps with oil. Five of them did not, but they were all waiting.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
in the waiting, there were five that were waiting, but they were not prepared. They were
Yeah.
present, but
Yeah.
they were not prepared.
Right.
And so we have to be in our waiting. You can't just be waiting and not prepared. Make sure that you have your oil. Make sure that you have your book. Make sure you have your
Right.
copyright. Make sure that you have your business plan. Make sure that you have your whatever LLC or whatever's needed in order to say, yeah, I am a business person. Yes, I am successful. Yes, I am ready to walk into my purpose.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Hmm.
good. So would
Yep.
you say that fear is the number one reason most people who know their purpose don't jump into it?
Most definitely. Because fear attracts so many other things as well.
Mm,
Right? So fear is the foundation that causes us, whether it's limiting beliefs, that means that someone has put things inside of you that makes you feel that you cannot and will never. And so the ability to step out or to jump, Tiff,
yeah.
would fear would say, I don't know why you're trying this because you're not going to succeed. I
Mm,
don't know why you're doing this because 10 people are going to show up. I don't know
yep.
why you're doing this. You understand? And so
Uh-huh.
fear is a crippler. Fear
Mm-hmm.
paralyzes us. Fear causes us to miss the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's fear of succeeding, whether it's fear of failure, whether
Yeah.
it's fear of success, whatever that fear looks like, we have to realize that fear will come. Okay? Let's just put it
Mm-hmm.
out there. The Bible never said that you will not be afraid. Fear will come, but just know that when it comes, who it came from. It did not come
Mm,
from God. And so
right.
when fear appears, you have to look at it and say, if you're here, what is your reason? What are you trying to stop me from doing?
Mm,
That's how you look at fear. I look at fear like that. What are you trying to stop me from doing?
yeah.
I talked to myself out loud this morning, Tiff. I had
Uh-huh.
to. There was something that in my mental, something that happened. I made an error on an order where I thought
Uh-huh.
it was a set, but it was only two. And the enemy began to say, see, you got too much going on. You're not gonna be able to do all this. I told
Mm-hmm.
him, shut up. Excuse me if I say that in my country way. I had to say it. I literally said it out loud. I will succeed and you
Yeah.
will get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's because initially that would take me, the old Tammy, it would have taken me back to all those times when I was sitting in class trying to understand and like, man, what is happening in my mind? Why can't I?
Yeah.
But I could not allow it because I identified what it was. And then I told it where you need to go. And this is what I'm going to do just because you tried me.
Mm,
So fear is
that's
it's
good.
one of the greatest, it's one of the greatest hindrances to our success. It really,
So how do you get over the fear? Do you get over the fear or do you just have to learn to manage it?
you just have to learn to manage. It's going to be like COVID. It's not going anywhere. You just have to learn how to
Right.
live around it. It does not
Uh-huh.
go anywhere. When I go live, girl, I was scared, nervous on this coming on here with you. I'm live every when I go on Mondays.
Every uh-huh.
When I step on a platform, my stomach is
Yeah.
just, Lord Jesus, help me,
Yeah.
God. I am
Yeah.
nervous. Butterflies are going like crazy.
Yeah.
Nervous is just fear,
Yeah.
and this is I'm afraid. But it's during these times that we are afraid that God says, if you allow me to usher you, if you allow me
Mm.
to lead you, if you,
Mhm.
yeah, you are, but I'm here. And so
Yeah.
that point, I said, God, I need you to take the wheel. Maybe I get some anointed oil, begin to anoint this
Uh-huh.
head,
Uh-huh.
anoint the
Uh-huh.
head, and ask God to, But it's one thing, we could pray, but it's one thing to say, God bless our time. But had you
Mhm.
not clicked the button to go live, our
Yeah.
prayer would have been in vain.
Right. 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 So you have to feel the fear and do it anyway.
You have to feel it and do
Uh-huh.
it and go anyway and jump anyway. I want to jump out of an airplane. I'm going to.
You're going to?
I don't even like heights.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, Tammy, if I
I know I'm
remember
tripping.
correctly,
I'm about to turn 50. I'm going through some stuff, but I will be.
look,
That's one of the things that I'll be doing this
but
year.
I'll go
Uh,
with you. If you want to
okay,
go, I'll come down to Houston.
we'll talk to Babu and then we'll come. You'll come. I'm serious. Oh, it's gonna be on me. So that'll be every month. I'm doing something. I'm getting off track.
I
Every
know
month,
that's
I'm
right.
trying to do something special
I
for
love it
before I
though.
turn 50 this year.
Yes.
So that would be one of the things
I'm
I'll do with
telling you,
you.
call me.
I
We'll do
got
it
you. We'll do
together.
it. Okay, we'll
How
talk offline.
often do people allow other people to stop them from pursuing their purpose?
Often, often. And I believe that happens because we don't know what we say to ourselves. We don't know
Mm,
what to say to ourselves. There was
mhm,
something I was reading today that says the thing that you say out loud about yourself, your subconscious mind grabs it and
mhm,
believes it and it
mm,
acts it out. But the
mm,
problem is we've allowed others, their voices, to be our dictators. Their
mhm.
what they say. Had I allowed the person to ask me, what do you have to offer? I wouldn't be here today.
Yes.
So is it always easy? Definitely not. It's not, because people's words hurt,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
they can't hinder. Come on, somebody.
Look. So I saw this quote. Will Smith quoted it.
Yeah,
If you haven't
yeah.
read his book, it's a really good book.
I have to read
Um,
it.
but what he quote, and you need to listen to the
Okay.
audible. Actually, the audio book is amazing. But what he said is, stop letting people who do so little for you control so much of your mind, your feelings, and your emotions.
Right.
But as you just said, it's easier said than done.
It
So
is.
how do you get delivered from people?
Talk to yourself and believe what God is saying about you. But I want to get so spiritual with that. Because we're going to balance that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the opinions of other is not your truth.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes.
your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the people that have the opinions are the ones with low self-esteem anyway. And they're just spewing
Anyway.
out on you who they are not. And so
Mm-hmm.
they are just it's a esteem problem.
Yeah.
And their problem is not yours.
Mm.
Someone I posted this, I think I did a video, and somebody said, you a first lady. How do you feel when people when you dress like that and come out? I said, when I walk outside,
Yeah.
when I put these clothes on and I walk outside, what anyone else thinks is on them.
Right.
I just showed up.
Right.
Sometimes you just gotta show up and let them think what they're gonna think.
Mm-hmm.
Just
It's
show up.
that reminds me of something that Bavu's been quoting a lot. I can't remember who originally said it, but what they said is, what other people think of me is none of my business.
That's right. It's not.
It's
It's
none of
not.
my business.
It's not. But we have to decide that though, Tiff. That's the truth. We have to decide that it is none of my business.
Mm-hmm.
But and like I said, it's a decision that you make.
And sometimes you just have to put blinders on and you just have to go.
You just have to go with what they said.
You just have to go,
Yeah.
right? Knowing what
Yeah.
God has told you.
Exactly. And again, whose voice is bigger? And if their voice is bigger, that means we're not talking to the real God. We're not talking to God and not hearing
Uh-huh.
his voice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good. So my question is, say you have someone, they know what they need to do, but they don't feel quite ready.
Hmm.
What is the number one thing that well, let me back up. How do you know when you're ready to jump? How do you know when you're ready?
You don't.
Ah,
Sometimes you just don't.
mm,
Sometimes you don't know when you're ready. It's just a feeling of saying, I just have to. It becomes that, like I said earlier, there's an urgency that just says, I just have to do it. I,
are you ever really ready?
I don't think you are. I don't, I hear you say things that I'm like, what, just what you said, you're impressed. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I know the labor that goes behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And you're never really ready. I'm not ever 100%. I'm never perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not stop me from again being prepared.
And in that preparation, that leads me to my next question, which is, you know, what is the one thing, if you were to name one thing that you need in order to jump into your purpose? You know what it is. God has given it to you. You have this nagging feeling. What is the number one thing that you need in order to do it?
You said you're gonna let me the one. Can I give two?
Okay, let's do two. Let's do two. Let's
Okay.
do three. However many.
Okay, no. You must have determination
Mm-hmm.
and accountability.
Mm.
Without that accountability of someone or something, I don't care what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, "Hey, I thought you said you were going to,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's always in your face. The determination that says, "I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the resources right now," because some of us think we have to have $1 million to get
Yeah.
started or so much. And all you need, or someone's waiting on someone else. I don't know who this is for today. You're waiting on someone else's platform. You're waiting for somebody else to call you
Yep.
when you can create your own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just need that determination that regardless of how how it's going to be done, it just has to be. I just have to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't know how, where, but then you have to have that accountability that of that person that says you cannot stop. Come on, you got this. You got you can do this. Come on. I know you're tired. I know you're frustrated, but come on, you cannot quit right now.
Mm-hmm.
That person that just nags you and get on you. You have to have those two things in order to really jump into your purpose. You
Yeah.
really have to have those two things.
That reminds me of something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Excuse me. In my devotional time, I was thinking about just all the things that it'll take for me to get to where I feel like God is calling me to go.
Mm-hmm.
And what God reminded me of is that everything that I need can be found in community.
Hmm.
And it's a trip because often, I mean, in the world that we live in now, we like to talk about being independent, right? Well, I'm an independent woman. I
Mm-hmm.
can do this by myself. I can, and you may be able to do it by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but God wants us to be in community because it's in community that you get that accountability that you're talking about,
For sure.
right?
Yeah, for
It's in
sure.
community that you get, people, even when you don't feel it yourself and you don't see who it is that you are, they can speak life into you and tell you, look, if I have a friend, a really good friend. As a matter of fact, she's coming on the show next week.
Yay.
And when I tell you she prayed me through my dissertation, finishing my dissertation,
Yeah.
I at one point I was crying and I was like, I can't do this. And she was like,
Oh.
girl, let's talk. And she prayed with me and she encouraged me, and I got it done. Often people say, if you don't see it in yourself, nobody else is going to see it in you. And that's a lie.
Mm,
Because often we
that
don't
is
see, as you mentioned, what is in us, but it's in community
right.
that people like expose you to yourself.
Right. Right. Right.
And so that's really good.
Right. What does your community look like?
Who's in your community?
Yeah.
You can't do it by yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. I posted a picture of elephant. I love animals, Tiff. I love this.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the one of the animals was having a a baby, right?
Uh-huh.
And as it was delivering, the other elephants began to surround that mother
Mm.
and they all began to trumpet. They trump their trunks began to just wag and they began to make some sound
Yeah.
as a form of celebration of what was going on
Wow.
and as a form of protection so the baby can come all the way out. So when
Mm-hmm.
you say community, it's important that we have those proper people in place that will celebrate and protect. Celebrate what we give birth to, and then help us protect it until it's able to come to its fullness
Exactly.
and to move. So
That's good.
again, the question is, who's in your community?
Who's in your community? That's good. That's good. Well, we are almost at time, but I do want to talk about your work and everything that you're doing. You are a life coach.
Yes,
You are a purpose midwife.
yes.
What is your approach to life coaching?
My approach to life coaching, when it comes to midlife, I like to look at the four stages of. I go through account of acceptance,
Uh-huh.
and then from acceptance we go through transition. And I'm
Hmm.
making this quickly
Yeah,
because
of course.
yeah, then we go from then from transition we go to position, and it's like transition because you're when you think about having a baby, your body begins to transition.
Right.
uh, then the position. At this time we're getting ready to birth, and literally I'm going to put you in a position where you're uncomfortable, that will make you want to get ready until you push out what's happening. And then we nurture, we take you and we begin to nurture whatever that thing, that purpose is, that one thing that you have been wanting to do. We push that. And so I love to work with women who really are like stuck. Like I was stuck at a point where I just didn't
Yeah.
know how to do it, and I just started moving. I
Hmm.
like to work with those women or men who are stuck and just need
Yeah.
help. And we take those phases and we
Mhm.
walk you through it until you begin to walk in your purpose, literally, by the time you leave our sessions.
Mm. So, what is one example of an activity you would do with someone who either don't know what their purpose is
Hmm.
or know what it is and don't feel ready to take that leap?
Okay, first of all, the first exercise that I like to do is to give an assessment to just kind of understand the purpose. So, what they're needing to do, and then I cause them to really see what that is and what that means, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it takes me saying, okay, this is what I. If you don't mind, I'll ask questions, then have them to go and do research, because sometimes they just need someone to help guide them. I
Yeah.
had a meeting with someone the other day. They said, I just don't know how to get started. They know exactly what they're called to do, but just don't know how to get started. I
Uh-huh.
just I had so many ideas in my I said, oh girl, you come on here, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, in a minute, we're going to tell people where they can find you. But
Okay.
before that,
Okay.
the last question that I have, and I think I'm going to end it every conversation like this. Remember at Bethel Temple, we used to sing a song called "You Can't Make Me Doubt Him."
Yes.
You can't make me doubt him. I know
Yeah,
too
not
much
too much.
about him.
Yeah. That is why I love him so.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
My question to you is, what is one thing about life? It can be about purpose. It can be just what you've learned. What's one thing that you nobody can make you doubt? What do you know for sure, right? If I was Oprah, what is
Uh,
something that you know for sure?
that God will keep you in perfect peace.
Mm,
I, literally, chaos could be all around you. And this is just me. I don't know for anybody else. For me, He will keep you in that perfect peace.
hmm.
I have to stop there because I would say too much, but
Okay.
there's no way I can doubt that.
Mm.
No way I can doubt it.
Well, thank you so much, Tammy, for this session. It was
Thank you.
wonderful. I am honored that you were my first person. Please tell everyone where they can find you to
You
hear
can.
more from you.
Thank you, and I am honored, Tiffany, for this opportunity. Thank you so much. I love you, and I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm cheering you on. You know I am. So you can find me on Facebook at Tammy Stewart, and you can find me on Instagram at M2M Tammy Stewart, I believe. Tammy
Hmm.
Stewart. Or you can find me on YouTube, Tammy Stewart. Then I also have a website at www.motivated, the number two, motivate.org.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we will put everything, we'll put all of her information online when we post the replay. All right. Thank you guys for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. All right. Bye.
Awesome.
Bye, Tammy. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
I can't end it. I'm trying to end it.